So 1 week in the books, how do you feel for the defensive progression from practice 1 until today?
Well, I think we're making progress. I think today we had a little bit different tempo out there today. We were doing a little bit more teaching and going from period to period when we were trying to do the teaching aspect of it and then getting them ramped up to go. I think there was a little drop off from what we had the previous 2 days. But that'll come with the veteran group, teaching those guys how to handle that. I don't believe there's an on-off switch that you can just switch on and turn on. That you got to kind of keep them going the whole time. So we can adjust some of those things. But I think we're making very positive progress, which is good.
How is this working with you and Herm Edwards? Just the synergy, and because this is the first time you guys have done this, also.
I think it's been great. I think we have a lot of the same philosophies. We come from the belief in that the only way you're going to be good is if it starts with playing hard. The defense that he had when they were at Tampa and when he was with the New York Jets, they were all guys. They were very physical defenses that played hard. The same thing that we did at San Diego State. So that belief system for the two of us is right on par, and the way you build that is to instill it in those guys every single day. And we're off to a good start. I mean, you saw. We've got the perfect 10s, we've got pursuit, we've got coaches out there chasing them every single play to the ball. So we've got a long way to go, but we're making really good progress.
They cut down on the loafs quite a bit from the first practice, or no?
Yes, from the first practice, definitely so. Still, it'll be interesting today after we grade it to see how many there were after the long weekend. I mean, they had that 3 days off from practice. It was a little bit warmer today. I mean, it'll be fun to grade and see and point out to them and show them exactly where we're at.
What is it like coordinating a defense when you've got a head coach that's so into with the DBs and kind of coaching hands-on?
I think it's great. I think the more knowledge and the more that we can share with those guys, the better. I mean, he's one of the greatest DB coaches of all time, and he's one of the greatest DBs of all time, and his knowledge of playing and his experience, I mean, those boys are getting spoiled, and yeah, I love it. I think it's awesome.
When you're in meetings breaking out film and stuff like that, I mean, obviously he's still got it. It's like he never missed a beat.
No doubt, no doubt. I mean, he points out stuff all the time. That's, I mean, when we're watching his defensive staff, the times that he's in there with us, it's been great. I mean, he'll point out little nuances, things that he makes suggestions on stuff that we can do to try and improve. It's been wonderful.
I mean, did you expect the defensive backs to have the biggest adjustment this spring, and did that really come true?
Yeah, you know, I think we've got 5 out there right now that are pretty talented. They can play. I think the learning curve. I mean, we're going back to fundamentals and we're doing a whole bunch of those things. There's a big learning curve for those guys, from scheme to individual technique by position. I think they're trying to soak up as much as they can. I think some of them have a little bit of confusion because of all the stuff that we've thrown at them, but that's by design. We want to make it as tough as we can, and then when we figure out what they can handle and can't handle, we can scale back as we start to, we'll scrimmage a little bit on Friday. That'll be the first time that we'll live tackle, so we'll try and do some stuff that they can execute, give them a chance to not make assignment errors, and first and foremost, get them to play hard. I mean, we can make up with some mistakes if they're going to play hard.
How did first day of pads affect execution?
You know, because we weren't, I don't think it was very much any different than Thursday, since we weren't going live to the ground. There was a couple of times that the guys did go to the ground, that we need to work on that tempo of it to make sure that we keep those guys up, because the better you can practice at that speed and not get anybody on the ground, so you're not getting legs rolled into, the better you're going to be. And we're in the process of teaching that tempo. But when we cut it loose on Friday, I mean, I'm a firm believer the only way you get good at doing something is to actually do it. And the most we can play tackle football, I'm all for. So when we get a chance on Friday, we'll see what they can do.
And about practice, how it's structured, how it's paced and all, how is this compared to where you were previously?
Very similar. I mean, everything is on the move, on the go as fast as you can, get as many quality reps as you can, and then teach everything off of tape in the classroom. And we're going to keep that going. In the beginning of practice today, like I said, we did a little bit more fundamental stuff and teaching pace, which was different than the first 3 days. which the beginning, I think they got a little bit, thought it was going to be easy, and then when we started ramping up and chasing them around, it took them a little bit to get it going. Those are things that we can adjust, and also they'll learn. They'll learn the pace of when we're teaching pace and when we're going, and very similar to where I'm coming from.
I know you don't coach them, or even that side of the ball, but since you've been in the program, just what have you noticed about Manny Williams?
I think he's a tremendous leader. I had that feeling last year when we played them. He stays calm and poised in the pocket. His demeanor is just like you want a quarterback to be. I mean, he lets those guys know when it's time to go. He never gets too high. He never gets too low. That was our big deal going into last year, was give him enough different looks to try and confuse him so that he couldn't get comfortable in the pocket. And we had some success. We got to him, but it took 4 quarters. I mean, it never got to him to the point where he was making bad decisions that were going to cost him the game. I think he's a tremendous leader. I think he's the best quarterback coming back in this league, and I'm excited about having him on our team.
Are there certain guys that you see sort of setting the examples for what you want?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, I think J.J. Wilson has done a tremendous job so far to start the spring camp. He's leading by example. He's being a vocal leader. It's been just awesome. And being that he's going to be a senior and that he's been here for a long time, I mean, he started on offense, they moved him to defense. He's had some success here and there. I think he's got an opportunity to have a really big senior year. And I think he's been the perfect guy to help with this transition.
Which unit is emerging as a strength right now?
Excuse me?
Which unit is emerging as a strength?
You know, I would say right now, I think up front, the D-line, from a physical standpoint, has probably done the best job. I mean, between Rennell and Jalen Bates and Shannon Foreman, those 3 have really been solid up front. We've got 3 guys that can do everything we ask them to do. I mean, they're plenty big enough, they're really quick, they can run, and they're buying in on playing hard. The next group, with what we're trying to do with the secondary and the linebackers, I think we've thrown a lot at them. So on the plays that they're executing stuff, it looks pretty good. The plays that we're making the sound mistakes, it looks like we're the bad news bears. So 4 days in, I think we've made really good progress, but we've got a long way to go before we play in September.
The offensive guys are talking about, they only have like 5 plays that they want to get perfect. How much are you kind of implementing on your defensive guys? How much are you throwing at them early?
You know, we started with 6 coverages we've thrown at them. We'll probably week to week have anywhere from 8 to 11 per game plan.
Like in a fall.
Yeah. For the total install, I would say by practice, not this Friday, but next Tuesday's practice, we'll have all that stuff in, and we'll have probably 80% of the package outside of individual game plan stuff. But within that, all that can be built in. It's just a matter of them learning the language and executing it. So we've thrown a bunch at them. We're going to throw a bunch at them over the next 3 days. And now when we scrimmage, we'll scale it back a little bit so to give them the best chance to execute and be successful. But for the practice and the team and all those things, we're going to throw as much as we can and make them think and stress them a little bit.
Did you change verbiage when you came over, or did you try to keep it the same as much as you could? Things that were the same.
Some of the stuff is the same, some of the stuff is different to try and keep it to help them a little bit. But I mean, we play our old school next year, so some of that stuff will be different too.
Do you expect Darius Slade to be full go?
He's making progress from what I'm being told. He was in the bubble today. So hopefully we'll have him Thursday so that he can scrimmage on Friday a little bit. But he has not practiced the past 2 practices with us.